And we're live, week 4, SFL podcast. I got my special co-host, Martial-in-law this week. Rob, how you
Hey,
doing,
what's
man?
going on?
How's it going, Rob?
It's going pretty good. I believe this is the introduction point. So, my name's Robert Martial-in-law. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I work at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. I'm a interventional radiology tech there. So that's like a specialized procedure area where we do like procedures inside your blood vessels. We'll do like emergencies, like removing like strokes, like removing clots out of your head. If you're internally bleeding because you were driving drunk and slammed into a wall, we'll stop that too. It's just a cool place. It's a pretty intense job. I can tell I've been doing it for a while because some pretty mangled humans will come on through, and my heart rate doesn't get up like anymore. So I think that's actually a good thing. It means that like I think I handle pressure and stress pretty well.
I know what that feeling is like. When I first started playing like higher stakes poker, I'd be like, oh, I feel like I have to put in this $1,400 bluff. You know what I mean? And it's like when you're first doing it, it's like it's the right move, but it's like, dude, it's $1,400 that I can just be literally lighting on fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
But to be dealing with other people's lives, that's insane. So, what's the worst thing that you've seen?
Well, this last Tuesday, it sucks. So a person, basically you can have bear seas or bear seals. Like picture like blood vessels that have gotten too big because you've got the pressure in your body isn't being regulated correctly because your liver is dying. So like cirrhosis of the liver, usually in heavy drinkers. This person ruptured their rectal ones, so they're bleeding from behind. And we stopped those from bleeding, and the pressure rushed up to the top of her body, so she started bleeding out of her mouth, so we had to stop those. And God knows, there was just liter after liter of blood we were pumping this person. It was coming straight out. So at the end of it, I was completely gowned up and like masked up, and I had to grab these like large, like, because we couldn't put them on their bed, and we had to grab this large like table of just blood soaked everything. I was scooping it up and it's squishing and getting all over my all over like the protective stuff I have, but some of it still got on me. Like it's a smell I can't quite describe. Like I've never seen that much blood ever. It looked like a slasher film in there, and like it took probably an hour and a half to clean all that up. So not only was the case hours long, the labor after the case is hours long too. It was sucked. I've never seen anything like it. It's not like doing a stroke where we get in there, pop the clot out of your head in like 30 minutes, and then you go from like and then you're just talking to us at the end. So there's definitely a good side of it. Like you're watching as you give someone like their grandma, their father, brother, sister, you give them back, because like otherwise like they're in the process of having part of their brain infarct and no longer happening, and in fact they're keeping function of their hands, legs, speech center. Like it's cool.
Wow, that is pretty cool. I mean, yeah, man, thanks for doing the hard job for society. Like that's a pretty cool thing.
It's I don't do it for free, I will say that. But yeah, I definitely enjoy it. Like I usually leave work feeling pretty good.
Oh, that's good. I hope they pay you well.
Oh, they do.
That's good. So what else? We got Rob, Bengals fan, lives in Cincinnati, works drenched in blood sometimes.
Yeah.
What's going on in your life?
Well, back in the day, I was in the Air Force, and that's what I used to go to college. I lived overseas for like 4 years, so I did I think about a year and some change in the Middle East. I was in Japan for 3 years, and then across the United States. Hey, buddy. And then I got out, went to college. After that, eventually, worked around Orlando, and then made my way up here to Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is my calling. Just always something to do. The winter kind of sucks a little bit, but it seems like everyone gets out, does things, has fun, and then too, it's like an adventure for me because like it's the first time I've lived in a city, like a city where like we can go out and ride the connector or ride a bus or walk wherever we're going. Like, we walk and ride to Reds games, Bengals games. Like we walked to the University of Cincinnati the other day because we got free tickets to their football games. Like right. There's always just stuff going on. And like now we're going to be able to do it with that MLS team that they have too, because they're building the stadium like just down the hill from us.
And I'm pretty sure there's just like good food around every corner too, and you can just walk through. That's like, I really want to try living in the city for like that. Sounds like awesome.
And the cost of living here is like one of the lowest out of all the metropolitan cities in the United States. Yeah, and they actually pay pretty well because there's like multiple Fortune 500 companies that all have their like headquarters in downtown Cincinnati, and it's pretty nice.
Maybe I can convince Carrie to get a software gig up there. We'll see. When I go visit you in November, see if that poker room is good. And then I'll start talking to Carrie, see if we can both move up there.
Yeah, well, and it's going to turn into a Hard Rock soon anyway, so I'm happy about that because they actually bring live acts and stuff through.
Yeah, bringing a lot of people coming in to concerts and stuff.
But I think you'll like Jack. Hopefully, you like Jack. Either way, there's like 4 or 5 different casinos in the area, anyways, so you can drive around and bounce it around.
Yeah, I have like one tiny little poker room, and like the good poker game only runs like twice a week. And then I have to make do with like mediocre poker games on Friday and Saturday nights or something like that. Yeah.
A lot of horse betting going on here, but that's just because we're near the Kentucky Derby.
All right. Well, let's get into some fantasy football, Rob.
Okay.
Let's go right on over to our power rankings here.
Mm-hmm.
Still number one, Sean Daly with the 184 points per game. Very steady, 19-8 overall win records. And he's ahead of you, even though you have outperformed him this year. How do you feel about that?
It would make sense because I think his rest of the strength roster, I think a big value of that probably comes off of, I don't think he's rostering many dead entities at this moment. Let's see. It's pretty much the only one that was out was like Sam Darnold, and I think that came out. He picked him up after the roster came out. So I think a big part of that, the penalty on that, is the fact that you actually have someone healthy or not.
Right.
Yeah, because like even your rest of strength roster is like 5th, but what happens when these people start coming back because you're getting Devin Singletary back. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how the rest of strength roster works. Let me just put that.
Well, I think they're just looking at the roster and seeing how good is his team. And when we're in a super flex league, he got Tom Brady for basically free, and he has 2 what we would call QB1. So he has 2 top 10 quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both of his quarterbacks are somebody that would want as their primary quarterback on their team.
Yeah.
So he's got really strong. When you get that in a super flex, you have 2 quarterbacks performing really well. I just don't think his running backs are that hot. Chris Carson has not performed this year.
I don't want any of the New England backfield like that. Just the moment they have to start throwing, like those guys are going to have to disappear. I don't think New England had its softest, easiest part of the schedule to start.
Carson is the Seattle Seahawks one.
Oh no, I was talking about James White, the one right under him.
James White, got it. Yeah, James.
Yeah. Chris Carson's like probably like they say they got complete conviction, but he fumbles 1 or 2 more times, that conviction will erode quickly. But Chubb stepped it up. I think he should be very happy that Chubb is getting more target share, more carries, just more time on the field.
I think where he makes his bread is the wide receivers and the quarterbacks. Keenan Allen is the number 1 wide receiver this year. He's just absolutely on fire. Look at this guy. 27 points, 20 points, 45 points.
Yeah. Well,
solid.
but he drops off significantly after Keenan Allen. Like they're not really grouped up because Cooks has been okay, but not great. Allen Robinson, okay, not great. John Ross, like I don't think I don't even know if he got a start out of him. If he got, because remember John Ross really only had those first 2 weeks and then sucked against Buffalo.
Well, again, you got to remember it's the rest of the season. It doesn't matter how he played the player.
Previously, I got you.
How we predict these players will play out for the rest of the season. And John Ross had a rough game against Buffalo, but I mean that's Buffalo, right? Like,
yeah. We'll see. I like his team. It's hard to criticize it. I'm surprised he kind of came into this team considering that he had to step out so early. So he's been doing great.
And Will Disley is having a great year. You picked him up.
I went to go pick him up. I imagine you did too.
No, man. I spent $50 on Hockenberger.
I forgot about that crap.
So, my tight end fab is pretty capped out at the moment.
That was a bit brutal.
Yeah.
All right, so take it. We move on. We got me. We'll see how I did. Make sure I don't haven't hoisted myself with my own petard making that trade. Because as soon as I make that trade, they're like Terry McLaurin got a tweaked hammy, T.Y. Hilton doubtful for the game, all these other people. I'm like, oh damn! I hope I didn't jack this up.
Yeah, your team has been absolutely on fire. You have you number 2, 195 points overall, is 21-6, pretty dominant. And then you just look at you two guys, and it looks like you guys have the 2 championship teams. And you look at everybody else, and we're so far away from you. I'm third, but in reality, I'm third. And the way I look at it, we're basically everybody else is tied for third. It's just you and Sean are 1 and 2, and everybody else is third.
With a pretty large gap going on in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was hoping the thing I'm setting on is I'm waiting for Drew Brees to come back. I'm waiting for Saquon Barkley to come back now. I know I traded Joe Mixon and Kenny Golladay. I think Golladay I may regret some. Mixon I'm not going to regret. I can tell that I just used his name because they're like, wow, I can get Joe Mixon for him. Mm-hmm. And he had a decent game against Buffalo. But if you've watched any Bengals games at all, I've almost every single run play, he's hit behind the line. He's hit and tackled behind the line. Every single play. They can't run block at all. So and then too, we just got to hope that he gets some catches. And I don't want to be just hoping that he's going to produce come playoff time. I want someone who will produce. And I was just I'm going to take a real big swing. I didn't think he'd actually accept it. He did. And now I just got to make sure I get to the playoffs.
Let's go ahead and talk about that trade. So let's go ahead and look at our a little activity here.
Mm-hmm. Because we had 2 of them. Where's it at?
Yeah. So no, that was a Chalupa Batman. I'm looking at the wrong trade.
3. There it is. So Saquon for Joe Mixon and Kenny Golladay.
Did the Chalupa Batman come first, or was it?
They came after. I think I could tell Dylan has to make some sort of move because Dylan's watching his season starting to get slip away.
So Kyle had Saquon Barkley who was injured, and you traded away Kenny Golladay and Joe Mixon for him, which I think this is a great trade for both teams, honestly. Kenny Golladay had a really rough game against Philly, but he still had 8 targets, man.
Yeah. So he's getting a good wide receiver and a good running back, but I felt like I've been doing pretty well on the waiver wire with my wide receivers, and running back wise, I realized that I wanted a foolproof plan going into going into the playoffs. And, if something dumb happens and I have to make a trade, well, I can trade off one of my two valuable assets and still have a Saquon and either Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara going into the playoffs.
Right. I mean, even if Kamara or McCaffrey gets hurt, you can trade away that Saquon for a running back that you can start, right? So, I'm just so scared of playing your team in the playoffs. I really am.
That's what I was hoping for. I wanted to make a team where people are like, I don't want to fucking play this guy, and I wanted those really high floor guys to where, you can't just if they just everyone craps the bed and you run into a situation where it's Saquon Barkley had an 18-point game. Yeah, that's bad for him, but that's still good because it's still forcing the other team to actually be having good games.
Yeah,
they can't just beat you because they just your one stud sucked, so it's over.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing too. Is we were harping on you for your draft. There's no way that this strategy is possibly going to work, right? You spent all your money on Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, pretty much.
And Joe Mixon, because it was 59, 55, and 29.
Right, and yeah, look at your wide receivers. You have 2 top 10 wide receivers on your team somehow. DJ Chark and Scary Terry are just over here.
And 3. Don't forget about T.Y. Hilton.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and John Brown's around the 15 mark. I had 2 top 5 tight ends. I have the number 2 quarterback. I would have had a better quarterback situation if Breeze didn't get hurt, but so be it.
It's making me sick. Let's stop talking about your team. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I gotta make it happen. I can happen Dylan in the first season. You can have a team that looks absolutely unstoppable, just have a bad week. So I'm trying to craft a team that doesn't. Their bad week is still a good week for others.
Okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay, all right, let's move on. Let's go down to Guy. So, I am not surprised you're 3. I am glad that you broke the trend where I was like, you just got to score 150 points and Guy loses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been making the right starts, and it's one of those things where my really good players had slow starts, right? Matt Ryan, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp. George Kittle hasn't even turned it on yet. That was a big spend. George Kittle, he hasn't done shit this year.
Just average.
Yeah, spent all this money on a guy who's doing nothing. But it's one of those things it's only a matter of time before these players turn it on, right? They have amazing talent, but you see this every once in a while. It just takes them a little while to get going. I don't know if I deserve to be at 3. I'll tell you though.
It's bunched up.
Yeah,
you do Josh Allen on the bench, Singletary coming back, Rojo, Robbie Anderson's going to take a nice step forward once he gets back. Sam Darnold, Kittle has just been underperforming, which is unfortunate. I can't believe you're rostering Corey Davis, but you do you. I'm glad I only spent $5 on him.
I got him for free. Again, I believe in this talent. It's just that the Tennessee offense is so whack, and I don't think I'm gonna have to. I don't think I'm gonna have to start him anytime soon. To be honest with you, with Kupp, Fitzgerald, and Mike Evans are just gonna be my starting lineup every week, and I have 6 running backs, have 6 running backs that I feel okay starting, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Carlos Hyde, Royce Freeman, and Ronald Jones. I can play matchups with those guys all the time, and Devin Singletary. You know what I mean? So I don't really care about my wide receivers. Singletary
would be good too.
Yeah, I don't really care about my wide receivers, and if T.J. Hawkinson,
he literally had one game, he got called into the rocks on that one.
He had 9 targets week 1. You see a guy with 9 targets week 1, you're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. And then dropped 2 duds after that.
Little did you know it was just the Arizona mystique that made him look good.
I know, right? No, but like I was watching that game, he was catching balls and he was making yards after the catch. You see that on a tight end that can run faster than the linebackers. You're like, oh, he's so good. But no, I failed. No.
Hopefully he turns it around. You've got a good team. You're not decimated with injuries. Just a lot of your dudes for some reason were just hitting their actual projections and targets. Like Jared Goff has kind of jacked you up a little bit too. Because he hasn't really been lighting it up like everyone expected. Because 13, his second week was good, 13, 25, and then 20. So, but even watching like some of the games, like he's still throwing a ton of picks and everything, and that's worrisome.
Yeah, Jared Goff has not been playing well.
Yeah, and his 25-point game was propped up by a rushing touchdown.
So we had 2 very large movements here in the power ranking, which is me. I went from 10th place in okay, in week 1 I was in 10th place, and now in week 3 I'm in 3rd. Somehow.
Oh, man.
Who had a big drop? House of Priapism was 6, and now he's last.
Who was it? Is it Burns When I Pee went from 1 and it's just been free falling to 7?
7 now.
House of Priapism, and I see why. Like, have you looked at his team?
I have.
Like, I can't believe he's got to win. Like, he's been unfortunate that Tyreek went down, Antonio Brown has went out, yeah. Michael Gallup's out. Like, he's just rostering every single running back that's not the starting running back on Kansas City. Justin Jackson is
Justin Jackson though. You know? Yeah, that counts for something.
Justin Jackson is droppable now because once Melvin Gordon comes back, this dude's just not going to get on the field, and I feel bad because that also wrecks. So it's funny because Melvin Gordon is going to wreck Eckler's value. Eckler's going to wreck Melvin Gordon's value. They've completely removed Justin Jackson's value. And in the one game to start Justin Jackson against Miami, he's out. So it's just that's a perfect storm for getting screwed.
Yeah, I think Gary just needs to reset his bench, man. I think he needs to get rid of a lot of these guys who are no longer have any value and just try to rebuild a new team.
Well, isn't Week 12 the start of the playoffs?
I think so. Week 13? No.
Week 12, right?
Week 12.
When do playoffs start?
I think it's Week 12.
Let's see. 5, 11, 12. Well, no, let's see scores. I'm trying to think of when playoffs start. Is it week 14?
No.
15. I think it's 14, 15, and 16. I don't think the playoffs start that early.
16 is
the championship.
So, so week 14? 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks for the
playoffs? Okay, good. Because I was because week 12, old Priapism might be a little free win if he keeps rostering his roster that way. Because all of his players will be on bye.
Mm-hmm.
Stafford and Carr, they're okay. Sony Michel, that's about as miserable as it gets right there. Because they're even doing Burkhead over him. James White is back. They seem to be throwing at will on everybody. Michel's not catching passes. It's just, that's grim. Darrell Williams isn't even the starter, is he?
No. And LaShawn McCoy, they're saying that LaShawn McCoy is going to be the starter in that running back field. Yeah, so
LaShawn McCoy starting, Darrell Williams backing him up. Okay. Man, he's got to really, if Kansas City throws any duds up, it's a walk. That's a wrap of the week for him.
Who's had a big climb too is Holden.
The man's used no fab also.
Mr. Elderly Gangbang with Aaron Rodgers and Patty Mahomes.
And Wilson on his bench.
Marlon Mack has been playing really well in this league because he gets first downs like crazy. Like, let's see, last game, Marlon Mack had 6 rushing first downs. Just awesome.
Damn.
Just awesome.
Elderly Gangbang on the power rankings, he's down to number 8 though.
Is he?
I wonder if we're looking at Trophy Chaser.
I'm looking at Trophy Chaser.
Yeah, that's Trophy Chaser. That's making that
Giant game. Yeah.
From the very bottom to the middle, down to 9th, back to 4th.
I was looking at Trophy Chaser. Yeah, the team that we all shit on this entire year. We've been shitting on him, and then his entire team just decided to wake up and have an amazing game last week. He scored 200 points. We were all saying he was going to get blown out. The man scores 200 points. Yeah.
Well, it's also easy to win when they're averaging 149 points a game against you. Like, that's going to let anyone win.
And again, this is the power ranking. You're supposed to look at his team and see how good his team is going to be.
Well, his points for
Melvin Gordon is coming back. You got to remember, this is also the dude with all the outs on his team. So he's got Melvin Gordon and AJ Green back there.
Vance McDonald, Njoku on IR, but that's like a free. Has he put him on the IR slot?
We don't have one.
Oh, we don't?
No, I thought we were supposed to.
Just
get on it though. Is
he really just gonna hold Njoku for 8 weeks? Ugh. But like, here's the thing: is like everyone was like, Gordon when he comes back, this, that, and the other. I just don't think he's gonna. I don't think the dude's gonna be signing up for like run me into the ground work, not when he's trying to walk and go.
Yeah, and get paid.
Straight 0 from Algalore this last week. Good luck, bud.
Yeah. All right, let's go look into the Joe Flacco trade, the in-house Dylan and Kim trade.
Okay.
Where
let's see. There's a lot of bodies that moved.
A lot of bodies. It was Joe Flacco, Alshon Jeffrey, and Austin Hooper. This is what Dylan gave up.
Yeah.
For Andy Dalton.
Alshon. I get it because Alshon hasn't been. And he gave Austin Hooper. Was Dalton really that valuable?
He's been 20 points a game.
Or I wonder if that was just Dylan getting someone and then just basically trying to cut his lineup out. Like, I wonder if that was just a body dump for him and he just wanted a quarterback in exchange. Yeah.
Why would he want to body dump Alshon Jeffrey though? Like, I get it. The dude didn't do anything the last 2 weeks, but you can't harp on a guy for getting hurt. His week 1 is the number 1 wide receiver on that team.
Because the dude has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 8. Does he have 8? Almost 7 wide receivers.
Yeah, but he's also getting rid of Austin Hooper too. It's like.
Because I guess he pretty much he's just going to stream someone at tight end when Ingram's on bye week 11. So he just plans on.
Hooper is putting up very good flex points. You know what I mean? Like, it could. I know we talk about it's gross to start 2 tight ends, but with these extra points that we're giving him, when a tight end is putting up 17 points a game, how could you not? But you know what I mean?
Just because they only need like a 6-catch game to have it be a good game. Right. Like, look at Zach Ertz he put up a 21-point game and it was nothing to write home about.
But Dylan's team is good too, though.
Phillip, Andy, you could tell he was tired of the swings of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's what it was. He needed someone to start over Baker Mayfield, and he went for it. So
Amari, Thielen, Calvin Ridley, Ingram. I mean, he's got a good team. I just, there was a situation where he would have had to make perfect starts to beat me last week, and that would have been me, like, leaving out someone else. I used to think that like coach rating was a good thing, but coach rating, like, if you're 100%ing your coach rating, it generally means your team isn't good. Like, your team isn't producing outside of like a couple players. So if anyone has a bad game, you have no one to turn to.
Right.
So I remember we used to harp on like, hey, that's great. But I noticed when I was maxing my coach rating out that I had no future in the playoffs because like that's all the points I could score.
But I mean, it goes two ways, right? It could be that you have so many good guys on your team, and that's why your coach rating is low. Is because, but like but it could also be your team is so bad on the bench that you just know you're going to start every week, so your coach rating is good because you know who to pick. It's one of those things that you just have to look at a case-by-case basis. Like, okay, he has a really good team overall and he has a good coach rating, so that means he knows to pick which lineup every week.
Yeah.
But if a guy has a high coach rating and low points, you just know his team is shit. It doesn't matter what he does. I guess it's just a case-by-case. You look at the team and you can kind of...
Yeah.
It's just Dylan, man. He had 550 points scored against him this year.
Pure Dylan. That's just pure Dylan.
Leading the league by quite a bit on the points against. Average of 183 points against. 183. Are you winning?
Poor Dillian. Dillian. And you didn't make a beatdown video because I think that would have been all you needed to beat me. God, yeah, his points against are so big, so big and juicy.
So bad. All right, let's look at our waiver wires real quick. So there's that big trade. I don't know how I feel about giving up Austin Hooper, but I can understand if I just don't think Andy Dalton's the guy. I think he's good. He's a really good player. I'm just worried that you go into the playoffs, and if the Bengals have a losing record, they might want to see what they have in their rookie quarterback at the end of the year.
Yeah.
As the Bengals fan, how do you feel about that?
All right, so here's my thing: is they're gonna try. I think I don't really, unless Dalton gets hurt, I don't see Finley coming in this year because they want to have Dalton to have basically just a good garbage time year so they can flip him in the offseason for a pick. Like, it's not going to be a great one, but, it's still a starting quarterback, and starting quarterback can still get you like a third, maybe a second, depending on someone's situation. If they, if you got a great defensive squad and you just need someone who can actually, keep you in a game, if not win the game, but usually not, lose the game, if you've got like a decent enough offensive line, like, you're going to take a flyer on him, especially since you don't have to commit to him. And he would only be like $16 million, so he's like affordable at that. Like, Trent, was it Trent Dittler?
Yeah, that's backup quarterback money, $16 million.
Yeah, so I could see them starting him the entire year with the intent of, if we don't get to the threshold this year, like if we don't look like we're gonna turn the corner and be good next year, that they trade him in the off season. Yeah. You just want him to have some serious value though. And I think they actually do want to give Finley a full year of just watching before they try to throw him to the Wolves.
Yeah.
And
he's probably safe. Let's be honest. It's a very unlikely scenario. It's just something that I would have been worried about if I was.
Dalton's part of the reason that Zach Taylor took the job, because he wanted to come into a franchise with a good enough quarterback, where he didn't have to go drafting quarterbacks immediately, because that seems like the easiest way to lose your job is to just come in, not have a good year, get an early pick, whiff on a quarterback, boom, you're fired.
Yep.
And you probably don't, can only maybe get away with that one.
So the big movers in Fab, we had a lot of big money. So $45 for Curtis Samuel from Dylan.
Yeah.
$33 on Darrell Williams from House of Priapism. $55 for Kyle Allen, backup quarterback, Carolina Panthers. $55. And
that's a Cam right there.
So this week, Kyle has decided to go all in. He's got to do something for his team. 55 on Kyle Allen and 50 on Wayne Gallman, and the trade.
Well, you got to think his team, I think, is free falling.
I like it.
Kyle Allen looks good. It looks like Cam's going to be out for a few weeks. Part of the trade with Barkley was I told him I wouldn't bid on Wayne Gallman just because I was thinking of really doing the old 1-2 trade for Barkley, bid for Gallman, and then make it like a throat cut thing. But I think he probably wouldn't have made the deal if I was said I wasn't going to bid on him.
Right. That's funny.
Let's see. Yeah, I just that's part of the deal, and I upheld my side there. I like Curtis Samuel; he looked really good with Kyle Allen. I can see why the Cam owner has to get Kyle Allen because we're starting to get kind of scarce on starting quarterbacks. I spent 51 on Chark because I had to because I just traded off Galladay and I had a glaring hole, and I did not want to have a low value. I didn't want to just have to start anyone and everyone.
Right.
And I'm glad I spent 51 because Dylan said he dropped 45, so I didn't overpay either. Like I made the right call. Let's see, Philip Dorsett, dude. Dylan spent a lot. 45 on Dorsett, 45 on Curtis Samuel, 33 on Darrell Williams by House of Berea Prism. It's just I don't quite get it, but got it.
All right.
I picked up Deontay Johnson for free just because, I got to start filling my bench. And then you got Corey Davis for free. And I went and got Kenyon Drake because I literally will need a body to plug in at running back when my dudes have their buys. But I'm willing to trade off Jimmy G for anyone who's got, a running back by committee running back that they want to swing for a decent quarterback.
Won't be me.
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at last week's scores. Let's just go right into it. I thought this was going to be the game of the week. The Martial Law versus the Devil's Triangle. You and Dylan. Let's look at our head-to-head lineups here.
Mm-hmm. Poor Dylan. I'm sorry, man. Not really, but
Lowry, Taylor, 1-7, 1-7. Is there anyone else that has this is the most soul owning record in the league, right? There's nobody that has this many wins against another person.
No, it really takes starting, being in there from the first year to kind of really develop that kind of skewed dominance. Mm-hmm. His one win was the very first time we met in the very first season, and he's rattled off 7 straight losses, including the one that got me my first year championship. Oh. I was hoping for that beatdown video. I know he's going to come back with one this next week, or the beatdown videos. You could just tell they discourage him because he's wanting that beatdown video win. It's just not coming. Oh, poor Dylan. Dillian. Oh. It's bad. Gary's 4-0 against Dylan. Kyle's 3-0 against Dylan. My goodness, dude.
Where are you
the year DJ wasn't.
If everybody owns your soul, who are you beating?
But the thing is he's always competitive. I don't get how he's got these skewed records.
Dean's keeping him alive.
I am
alive.
Yeah.
Dean and Kim.
Is it Kim? Yeah. So my nemesis would be, I'm 1-3 against Kyle, 2-4 against Dean of all people, and 1-2 against Ariel. And then 5-2 against you, Gary.
Dean, that feels bad.
Yeah. I think I'm your only real losing. No, you have 2 losing records, I think. Because I'm bad against Gary, Kyle, and I don't know quite yet against Ariel. Yeah. I'm 2-3 against Kim, 4-1 against old Holden.
You own my soul, and Kyle's got the 2-1 on me. Yeah.
Pretty much. I guess apparently you only lose to me, and that happened earlier this year.
It's all right. It's okay.
All right.
Let's do this. You guys had a pretty good game. Put up 200 points on an 83% coach rating, 239 optimum. Like, dude, it's just disgusting.
Yep.
He could have beat you with a 211 if he had started Austin Hooper in the flex.
Yeah. And that's I would have definitely lost to that. Like the only other option I could have done would maybe like flex out Andrews and then like thrown in Mixon, which wouldn't have been bad, or Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Didn't expect Gardner Minshew to outscore Garoppolo either. So it's just nice to know that I had other options for this win other than just like you've got one selection. This is all you can do.
Yep.
Dalvin Cook is producing. I feel like the expensive running backs carried me this week. Got 68, almost 69 points out of both of them.
So next game is me versus Schnepp, H-Bug, Elderly Gangbang. Dude had 48 points in his bench by Russell Wilson. Again, he drafted 3 good quarterbacks. What's the point of Russell Wilson? Has he been hitting anyone up with trade offers at all?
No, he's not even fabbing. He's not even trading. Like I don't know what he's doing, but he's not out of the running. He has more wins than Dylan, and he's. I don't know. I guess we will see. We will see. Like we'll see if Holden gets active here at some point because like. There's no reason to sit on like assets if you're going to miss the playoffs.
Yep. So I beat him down. Let's go ahead and go to Sean versus House of Priapism. Sean, I thought this was going to be a much closer game than it was. Sean did work.
Wow.
45 points from Kyle Allen. Absolutely disgusting. And how can you bench Waller?
I don't know. Well, because he's got Ertz, and he's in love with Kansas City, so he's just going to play anyone and everyone Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean,
he really didn't have many other points. Like even if he starts Waller, like he can't win.
Beat him.
Yeah, because auto draft is just a good team.
Yeah.
He would have done. He's got a good team.
He's number one, even though I think you should be the number one. He is.
Yeah, he's got it. Like he just there's not a lot of holes in his squad. All right.
Mm-hmm. Next game, Breaker Chains, Chalupa Batman. Breaker Chains got almost a perfect coach rating there, 185 points total.
Oh, yeah. Could Kim have beaten him?
Kim could have beaten him. Yeah. This is the one where, let's see, Marvin Jones. She needed to start Marvin Jones against Philly. Honestly, you have to start Marvin Jones against Philly, but who would she? She wouldn't have benched Diggs, so the 4 points would still be on there.
Yeah.
Dude, it's Todd Gurley is killing her.
Yeah. That's just rough. Really, the only way she wins is if somehow she gets like Jones in for either Gurley or Diggs, which is probably not happening.
Todd Gurley
So
just killing
I think she's stuck, and like Jared Cook is just absolutely like wrecking her. So she's going to be rocking Austin Hooper now, though. So like she's going to get a little bump. She's 2-1 though, so good for her. And Breaker, like he's making some moves. Ross Saquon. Dude, Kirk Cousins is a hard start. Breda's going to lose market share now that Coleman's back. Gordon Lockett had just an insane game. Like pretty much he's just saved by Lockett having an absolute just an anomaly of a game. But that's part of fantasy football. So I mean, I'll take a weird ass game like that too. I mean, Kamara did the same shit.
It's fantasy football. Yeah, Kim could have won, but she would have had to start Marvin Jones
over Diggs or Gurley.
She needs a tight end, and I can understand that.
She got Hooper. She's got a tight end now.
She's got a trade makes a lot of sense. Her teams could be a lot better now because of it. Let's go. This is the game we all got wrong. Trophy Chasers versus It Burns 1 IP. We all said that Ariel is just going to absolutely smash this game.
Josh keeps slipping by. He did 100% coach rating.
100% coach rating. I mean, it's not hard to get 100% coach rating when you're half your bench is injured.
Out. IR. His kick rostering 2 kickers. Is there? There's no scenario where it burns when IP wins here, and that sucks. Even when you get a 40-point bomb out of Daniel Jones, and it was still just like you can't win. That sucks.
Yeah.
And really Trophy Chaser got it through every single player producing touchdowns across the entire board. It's wild.
Pollard scored a lot of points too. What happened last game where he scored so
that was against Miami, so he was doing a lot of garbage time running.
Makes sense. Yeah, okay. That makes all the sense in the world. All right.
Oh, so just nothing he could have done. That was like that. He had the high. I mean, Trophy Chaser had the highest score of the week.
Yeah. All right, let's go to this week. Let's see what's going down. What game do you want to start off with first?
Let's start with Trophy Chaser and Auto Draft.
Number one, both 2-1 teams. Trophy Chaser scored 200 last week, and he starts with a 0 on his board this week.
And he's started Nelson Aguilar over Sammy Watkins. What just a stud. Rostering 2 kickers, and for some reason is still choosing Vinatieri over Crosby or literally anybody.
Oh, here's the thing. He didn't get the memo, okay? So, you look at the 2 games where Alshon Jeffrey was out, okay? Aguilar had 25 points and 21 points. Alshon Jeffrey comes back. First game when Alshon Jeffrey was on the team, 2 points. Alshon Jeffrey comes back, absolute goose egg. We gotta figure it out. He just didn't get the memo. Alshon Jeffrey's back. I should have started Nelson Aguilar.
Brutal. And over Sammy Watkins. How are you not starting Sammy Watkins?
Dude. Yeah, he had 2 mediocre games the last 2 games. A shit ton of targets, though. You gotta start somebody who has that many targets.
Who's getting targeted left and right by freaking Pat Mahomes.
You have to. If somebody has that many targets, you have to start them. It doesn't matter.
Landry, I am not a fan of Landry in this format. Like he's one who got nerfed super hard by the wide receiver change. He's point PPR only.
Well, he's only catching like 3 balls a game.
I know. It's just there's a lot of ball to go around there in Cleveland, and he's not targets, the recipient.
But he's not making anything with them. He's not catching them, or the targets are bad. Yada yada.
Baker's not playing well.
He still has a chance to put Sammy Watkins in over Sanu, though. I don't know why Sanu's in there.
Ooh. Yeah, you do you, man. Like, because I think you're in my division. Is that correct?
He benched Mason Crosby, too, against Philly. I thought that was going to be a high-scoring game. Mason Crosby had 15 points on his bench. But again, Adam Vinatieri versus Oakland, I can see the Colts putting up enough points for Vinatieri to have 15 points as well, even though he missed all the kicks the first 2 weeks. We'll see.
All right, you choose next one. Oh, I'm going to go with obviously. It's super easy to choose auto draft. I mean, when one put up 24, the other one put up just a goose egg, and 9 players each left to run. Like that's a huge swing. Who are you choosing?
Auto draft.
Yeah, and none of his starts are bad.
It's so hard to root against him. Let's go on my game against Chalupa Botman. She left Alshon Jeffrey on the bench.
Smart.
Didn't have anyone else playing. He only got 3 receptions, 1 touchdown.
Yeah. I mean,
Aaron Jones, even though he's averaging less than 2 yards per carry, still getting me 16 points.
that's a nice like kind of floor area. Like it's obviously it's not great because we can see some wacky numbers put up, but like anytime you're just getting close to 20, I consider it just a good game. Like you those are the numbers you got to keep having over and over again to consistently beat people.
Yeah. We got Matt Ryan versus Tennessee. Goff versus Tampa Bay. On the other side, Deshaun Watson. Case Keenum against New York. That could be a high-scoring game, maybe.
Yeah.
New York.
I can see why she doesn't want anything to do with Flacco and Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it looks like
both teams are starting the right players, I think. I mean, Marvin Jones versus Kansas City, I would definitely start. I just got to figure out who I would bench to put that in. She's the thing, too. She's got 3 running backs, so she's going to always put one of the running backs in the flex.
Ooh, Fournette. Like, Fournette literally had one run. Jones over Leonard Fournette. Dude, seriously, had one run this week.
I think Marvin Jones over Fuller. Fuller hasn't done anything this year. Marvin Jones has been the guy in that offense, it feels like.
Well, Galladay was week 1. No, it was just last week. The other weeks he was just average. He just finally produced when Galladay didn't.
Yeah. And he was playing against Philadelphia, which had, right? Last week? No.
Yeah,
it was with
I was actually starting Galladay against Philadelphia with the idea that I heard that their corners were vulnerable.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, I missed that one. Yeah, somehow I'd want to get Jones in there because it's going to be a shootout in Kansas City, especially in a dome.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. It's like he's going to catch one deep ball that game. He's going to have to catch one deep ball that game. I don't know. I think I beat her though.
I think you do too.
Yeah, I think I beat her.
Yeah,
I think I have a slightly stronger team. Todd Gurley hasn't been performing. Tampa Bay has a really good defensive line, front seven. They get to the running backs. It's the wide receivers that score points on them.
Michael Thomas isn't going to get he's just not going to put up the same points with Teddy Bridgewater as he did with Drew Brees too. So that's the like a regression there. And Gurley's kind of almost like in a running back by committee thing. So you can tell they're saving him for the second half of the season.
I definitely think I have the kicker advantage in the Kansas City-Detroit game.
That's a tight game though. Like Greg the Leg's great too. So
yeah.
I think you get that one. Me and House.
You and House. All right.
He
started off strong.
I mean, like that's like his close to his best player on his team, and like a 765, 21 points. That's a good start. I'm sitting here like him having Le'Veon Bell on bye week against me this week is rough for him, like real rough. Like starting Sony Michel against Buffalo. Is that Darrell Williams? Starting a backup running back against me. Robinson and Mecole Hardman, basically, he's just got to hope that they have a great game. Smith-Schuster should be all right. Stafford, Carr. The only one I'm really worried about is Waller. To watch him like go off again because like they're just going to be throwing the ball all game.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I have Greg Olsen and Mark Andrews, both who just big tight ends that seem to get a ton of targets too.
I just don't think his team is good enough.
It's just the disparity. The problem is like quarterbacks were pretty tight. Wide receivers, fairly tight. Tight ends were both starting great tight ends. Kicker is whatever. Problem is that like my running backs are just an echelon higher than his. Like he's trotting out some jobbers against two of the best running backs in the game.
It's just so hard to make up that difference, that running back difference right there. It's gonna have him need some really good game from the rest of his team, and it's like not like your wide receivers are bad either. DJ Chark has been the guy for that team. Brown's been the guy for his team, and Scary Larry has been, you know, maybe all three are wide receivers are flukes, and they're not as good as they have been, right?
Yeah.
That's how you would lose. Like,
That, and because Hilton was out, because I can wide receiver, and it sucks having him out. But these other guys, have all produced, and they may have, some of them may have not had great games, but they're still at least putting up 10 points per game.
I don't know. His wide receivers are going to have to put up some points. Robinson and Miko Hardman. He's got that Kansas City lineup. If those two wide receivers go off, and Darren Waller goes off, he has a chance, and that's what he's going to need. Zach Ertz already started strong. Matt Stafford in the Kansas City game. Now the more that I look at this, the more I think it's going to be a close game. It's really hard because your running backs are so much better than his, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just giving him the advantage everywhere else.
Well, because Dak Prescott against New Orleans is definitely one of those great starts right there. Dude's going to be throwing. New Orleans has given up tons of points to QBs. My Gardner Minshew against Denver is not
good.
Particularly enjoyable.
No,
that is not one I like. Yeah, so I got to hope that Dak can kind of overperform and get me to the promised land there. I just basically need my two studs to basically put up their around a 25-point game each. And then other people to just not throw goose eggs up. That's my biggest thing, is I've had goose eggs and injuries every week.
I'm going to say that you come out on top, but it's going to be close. I really
think
it's
going to be close to 200. It's going to be a 200-point game.
I don't know if it's going to be a 200-point game. I'm going to say it's a 160 to like 157.
Okay.
Like super close. Both of you having mediocre games this week is what I'm predicting.
All right. Well, we shall see. Like I only put up 150 once, and that was because Breeze got hurt, and I got a 0 from Jimmy Graham.
Yeah. All right. Trophy Chasers. Oh, we already looked at that game.
Yeah. Burns with a P.
Oh my God, man! Started with 30 points already. Devontae Adams went off.
But dude's out for a couple weeks now.
Yeah. Well.
That sucks for him, but he'll be all right.
At least he got him 30 points before he left the game. I did my part. Have a good one. Oh man. Who else did he have on the bench? He had Miles Sanders.
Dude, he's got a good team. He's got a good team. Mason Rudolph, I know you guys keep wanting to think that dude's going to rip it up, but I think he's going to get victimized by Cincinnati's defensive line. It's just one of those games where he can't hold on to the ball long at all because they actually do have a good pass rush. James Conner hopefully can do something, but I know everyone's oh, they're going to be fine without Big Ben. No, they're not. Not the same. Not the same caliber of player. Definitely not the same caliber of Steelers. Everyone keeps acting oh, they're going to be fine. I'm no, they had a huge exodus of talent. And you guys can try to cut it any way you want, but you lose all those players. It's just not the same. But that's part of a franchise that thinks they can do no wrong. And we'll see. It could just be one of those things. I'm surprised he is starting Mason Rudolph, but Kirk Cousins. Why is he not starting Kyle Allen? Dude is gonna throw. I would start Kyle Allen all day, every day over Mason Rudolph. Dude looked great. Yeah. Mason Rudolph has yet to even look okay.
Kenny Galladay's on the bench against Kansas City. What are you doing, bro?
Wow. Trading for him and not even using him. I get Tyler Boyd, DJ, Josh Gordon. Who's your flex?
Josh Gordon is the flex. I would not trust Josh Gordon against Buffalo.
No, I think that Buffalo could just get behind and they're going to run it.
Divisional matchup, really tough defense away from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust them. I would definitely play Kenny Galladay against Kansas City with 100%.
Yeah, it'd either be over Gordon or Moore. You got to make your choice there. I'm surprised, like, because this is definitely that's the situation you're looking for, is those wide receivers against Kansas City, since the other team's just going to be throwing all game. I'm sitting Kyle Allen though. That one is rough.
I'm liking it. Burns on IP.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm liking him a lot. I think he's got it. I think he's gonna get this game.
Oh yeah,
both teams that's 2-2 after this.
Can Dillion? Hey, Holden, update your fucking lineup, dude. I'm gonna actually shoot a message out in Flea Flicker because, like, man, the dude has all these wide receivers and doesn't start them. Gets a beaut of a game. Man, James Conner, Marlon Mack, Derrick Henry, Odell Beckham, Kirk, Witten. Witten's terrible, but okay. And who would dude almost can't even start somewhat. Like, he's got to just put in Wilson. Yeah, he's got to put in Wilson. That's the only player he's got available.
What are you talking about?
For Holden, Billy Gangbang. He's got a bye player in there.
You can't start Wilson.
Why?
A quarterback. They're already in the lineup.
Well, Miami's wide receiver.
Oh. That Wilson. That Wilson.
Yeah, he's got two of them.
The Wilson that shouldn't even be on a team, Wilson. Got it.
He's gonna. Hey, that's who you got to go. I mean, I got Kenyon Drake because I'm just like, well, I'll take someone who's at least touching the ball over someone who's probably not even getting a sniff.
Yeah, he's gotta go.
That's literally just a bye week fill-in. You just need someone that's just gonna fill in during a bye week. Oh man, yeah, Wilson hasn't done. Man,
I'm honestly surprised he didn't start. Allison,
dude, you got Fab, dude. You got $150 in Fab. Like, get someone for this week. Good God.
He needs to get somebody. And you got to remember, he's got to put in that waiver claim today. Because tomorrow he can't do anything. He's got to put it in today before the waivers go through.
How did he not start Allison or Scantling? At least Scantling.
I would have started Scantling, personally.
Yeah, he just came off a big week.
And then I would have been crying with the result of 8 points, but...
It's better than bye. It's better than bye.
All right, let's stop kidding around here. Dylan gets his first win of the week.
Dylan.
Even though Aaron Rodgers came in, blew up. Dude, he's got Eckler versus Miami. That's garbage.
Phillip Rivers against Miami.
Garbage time dream. Cook might have a rough game, but Davin Freeman might have a good.
Well, here's the thing: if our homie, dude, he's actually got a good lineup. If he ever fixes his tight end problem and actually gets someone to fill in decently, we're a good one. Like, he's got a great start. He's got Connor, Mack, and Henry. He's got Odell Beckham and Kirk. Like, he's got Mahomes still to go. Like, dude, this is like, if Dylan doesn't put up 180, he probably loses.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. Dude, you got to think, like, Mahomes, if Mahomes puts up another 30 points, like, he's getting over almost 63 points from his quarterbacks, and all of his running backs have that, like, 13, 14-point floor. Like, dude's already going to be at 100 points through there, and it wouldn't be a surprise through the rest of his talent that he's going to put up around 170. That's what I'm saying. Dylan needs to score at least 180 to beat him.
Okay, Dylan's going to pull a classic Dylan and lose to a guy who has a bye player on his roster.
God, don't do this to us, Dylan. Don't do this.
Patrick Mahomes is gonna put up 37 points. Aaron Rodgers already put up 30.
Yeah, that's hard.
Derrick Henry and Marlon Mack both have 20-point games each.
Connor like a 15, 16-pointer. Like, and then Beckham, like, he can still ball out. Like, dude, this is.
I can see it too, because Dylan has like some rough matchups on the other side. Well, we take away Eckler and Rivers versus Miami.
Dalton, not a great start.
Cooper versus New Orleans.
In Pittsburgh.
Amari Cooper versus New Orleans is a good matchup.
Yep.
Washington
Cook.
is a good matchup. Never mind. Dude, this is so close. I don't even want to make a call. I'm just gonna say Dylan just because dude has a bye week player on his roster.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Dylan with the caveat if Holden actually uses some fab and gets a decent wide receiver. Like if Holden does nothing, then Dylan. But that 32-point start, Aaron Rodgers, when he's been never getting anything close to that, and the dude's still been putting up decent points, is not too good because he's been averaging 169 per game, almost 170. Him and Dylan average about the same per game.
Yeah.
So this like I'm gonna call Dylan for this one because if he loses, season's in free fall.
He can still come back from 0-4. Especially 6 teams making the playoff, he can still come back from 0-4.
Okay. Is it 6 or 8 teams making playoffs?
6.
And then so the 2 top get buys and then go from there?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad that we at least make the playoffs hard to get into. And is it 3 from each side or is it 2 champions and then the next 4?
Probably 2 champions in the next 4.
All right. Yeah, so one division can have 4, the other can have 2?
I would believe so. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it's going to work.
Okay. Dylan, just because I'd like to see our commish stay invested in the league, even though it's his only, it's my favorite league. It's obviously his because, he's put so much into it. We actually talk on the league, which is fun. All right. I guess, are we wrapping?
We could rippity wrap. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any scoring rules or anything?
All right, so here's my thing: is next year I still like the extra points being a premium, but I'd like to drop them to 2 from 3 because which week was it? It was I think week 2. No. The 20 points doesn't bother me. My thing that bothered me was week 2 against Holden. Kaimi Fairbairn made 2 field goals and an extra point. Holden's dude misses a field goal, makes 4 extra points, and scores more than me.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty damning.
This is the thing that Dylan and I were talking about. I'm thinking that we can keep them at 3, the extra points at 3. But if you miss easy kicks, you get penalized for it.
Make a missed extra point -3.
Oh yeah. At least -3. So it's either -3 or -4. It's gonna hurt. If you miss one, and also long field goals. I don't think the 1 point per yard is enough.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not
because and I don't know how much. I don't even think my game will be an outlier. 2 field goals and an extra point. That's a good game. That's like a 10-point game from a kicker. But when you straight up just lose, when your kicker gets outscored by a guy that missed a field goal and made 4 extra points, that's kind of blah.
Where was this field goal from though? That's what I don't know. Where did he miss from?
Let's see. I don't know. It doesn't even I don't think we're taking any points off for missed field goals. It's straight up just.
I think we are. It's just we're taking away not a lot. See, I think it would be good if you miss anything 33 yards and below, that's a -3, right? And then say before you get to 45, that should be -2. And then once you pass.
Oh, so homie missed. So his field goal had to have been from 50 yards because there's no negative points for a missed 50-yarder.
Yeah, which is not that bad. You know what I mean? I think once you reach 55 yards, you shouldn't get penalized. If you're kicking for 55 yards and above, you shouldn't get penalized. I think if you're still missing the 50, 52 yarders or whatever, we can take away a point, right? Missing those 40 something, you take away 2 points. You missed the easy kicks, that's -3, and then
extra points are at least -3. They need to at least blank out. If they make 2 extra points and miss 1, it should at least negate 1 of their extra points.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing though: is Kyle Fairbairn, he made 2 field goals, but one of his field goals was a 39er, and the other one was under 33 yards. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's too easy field goals, but I do think like we should up the points per yard on those kicks. So like somebody nails a 50-yarder, that should be like close to 7 points or something.
Yeah,
You know.
because I don't mind. I like the kicker being in there, and I like that we're making them work. I like that, making, getting a kicker that, exposed to good offense or seems to be, automatic from 45. Those are good things to take into account. But like, probably don't want to have too many kickers losing, kicking matchups based on the fact that, they made their field goals and their extra points, but the other person just made extra points and beat them.
Right.
Like long kicks shouldn't be penalized. Like, they're booting 60 yards. Like,
no, I definitely do think like when these kickers miss the field goals, if we're gonna give them 3 points for extra point, we definitely gotta penalize them for missing kicks. I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board on that. We gotta try to, because right now I can see where you and Dylan were coming from, where it's too team oriented, too offense oriented. Fantasy football, you want to root for the guy, right? And like, so if we're gonna root for the guy, we gotta give him points for doing good shit, and we gotta kick him the dirt when they fuck up. Like I'm totally on board with that.
How do you feel so far about the scoring on all the other positions?
Oh, scoring on the other positions. One thing Flea Flicker doesn't do that Sleeper does, which is something that I would like to toy around with, is there's tiered, like you can put up points like PPR instead of a set PPR for just catching a pass. You get a pass points for how far the pass was. So like if they like, you can say, okay, so you caught like one of these little screen passes and got a yard, right? You can say 0 points. What the fuck? You caught a screen pass and did nothing with it. Like why?
0 or negative?
No, not negative, but like you got 0 yards on the screen pass. Like you did absolutely nothing. Why are we gonna give you points, right? So you can like, and then you caught a 40-yard bomb, dude. 2 points. 2 points for the 40-yard bomb. Like it's a really good reception, so you give them 2 points for that reception. And then like right now is. Running backs are the ones that get those little pointless dump-off passes, which is why we have running backs at a quarter for the reception, right? And the wide receivers a half. If we had that, then we wouldn't need that. If we had that tiered reception bonus. Personally, that's how I feel. What do you think?
That's the thing is, like, I like that we change the scoring each year. If we're looking at players right now, so say you go click players and then go to all from free agent, and we're going to know that, like, look that most of the top scoring dominance in the league right now is quarterbacks.
It should be quarterbacks, though, right? Like, they're the most important position of football.
Yeah, and they're all good quarterbacks, though, too.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen's up.
It's not like they're completely dominating either. I mean, like, Keenan Allen and Dalvin Cook are right behind him. Like, you still have these wide receivers and running backs beating the mediocre quarterbacks, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, in passing...
Do you think quarterbacks are scoring too many points? Do you think we need to turn it down the quarterback scoring to get them even with the other positions? Because I don't think we should.
No, not unless like we get to the end of the season and like the top, out of the top 20 players, 15 are quarterbacks. Then we're gonna dial it back. Just see how many of our top scorers are all quarterbacks. Because if it's all them, then I think we've kind of flipped on, like we may have nerfed others way too hard. Now, if everyone's kind of like, if there's like a top 20 and 10 are quarterbacks, but everyone else is kind of intersped in there, like it's not just like 1 through 10 quarterbacks, then I think we'd nailed the scoring there. And, we can just adjust things based on big play as opposed to like needing to really mess with the nuts and bolts of the scoring mechanism. So no absolute scorching takes. So let's go with some scorching takes on the way out here, because I know some people wanted to hear people get absolutely dunked on. And my first scorching take is House of Priapism will be out of the playoff hunt in about 4 weeks.
4 weeks from now.
Yeah, that is a lineup built to lose.
He can fix it. You can fix it.
With what fab?
Oh my god. Oh, how
What fad are you talking about? That 57? $57. Breaker changes at 0 already. So like
oh my god! I did not notice that he was already at 0.
0. So in the Whoreface side of it, it's pretty much Burns What IP and Trophy Chaser can get who they want with impunity. We still all have some like points on our side. I think House of Perea Prism has backed himself into a corner, and I don't know, man. Like being that invested in one offense and then basically setting yourself up to take a hard L on week 12. You do, all right, man. You do you.
Yeah,
I think that
150 points per game.
Mm-hmm. I think that Trophy Chaser. Nah. I think Trophy Chasers bench guys that he's basically put and he's waiting on are going to underperform. I don't think he's going to get out of AJ. I think he spent a lot of money on dead spots, and they're going to come back and they're going to have middling results, and that's going to derail his season.
You know, now that you've dunked on Gary, I'm excited because he's supposed to be on the show next week, so he'll be able to defend himself.
Like Melvin Gordon's not going to put up those running back one numbers that you spent money on and held on to him for. They've got too many good players there in LA. On top of, they're probably not going to. It's one of those things. He's probably not trying to get fed the ball for on contract season because if this dude takes an injury, he's completely changed his ability to make money.
Yeah.
And so, and I think he will play with that in mind. AJ Green, I don't think. I'm a huge AJ Green fan. I have his jersey. I love him. He's like the best wide receiver Cincinnati's ever had. I think we're going to see the twilight of his career when he comes back. Like I think this is one of those last injuries. I think he'll do okay, but I think Cincinnati may not re-sign him next year, which will break my heart because I absolutely love him. But you know, you can't pay $18 million to a guy that can't stay on the field. Like, especially not on the Bengals. Not when we're looking to we're probably about to do a rebuild. And I think 15-point games out of AJ Green are going to make you. And I don't think that's why you bought him in the preseason. Let's see. Who's your scalding take on?
I don't have one, man. I don't have one. If I were to have a scalding take, it's not even that scalding. Dylan's, man. Just goes out, performs well, and misses the playoffs because, dude, 550 points against 183 points on average per week against through the course of 3 weeks.
Hey, Dylan. I'm glad that you dumped 3 players and all those resources for a $1 quarterback.
Andy was really
how does it feel to know that your $20 Baker Mayfield is clearly a worse play than the $1 Andy Dalton in prime time?
But here's the thing, though. He recognizes that. He recognizes that what happened in the draft doesn't matter anymore, and he is willing to go past it, and rebuild this team.
Yeah. And I was thinking about Frank Gore, too, but, not against New England.
The only thing that made me not pull the trigger on Frank Gore is Singletary's coming back.
Yeah, and you have him, I think.
I have him, yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be just. I mean, I'm having a hard time wanting to keep Drew Brees on my bench, but I just know that I'm going to want him for the second half of the year.
All right, we are over by 20 minutes, Rob.
Okay.
We did this. We got material. Thanks for coming on.
Oh man, it just always drifts back to Dylan. Like, how can we get Dylan? And that's because you didn't make a fucking beatdown video, bud.
I'm hoping he makes one this week too, but I don't think he's going to.
I think he shied away. It's just he's had such poor results every beatdown video, but he can edit. He makes them so much fun.
Yeah, he's really good. I wish he could edit like that. That'd be awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Rob.
All right, you'll have a good morning. Sorry we didn't drink beer, but it's literally like 10 a.m. I'm not drinking beer.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Adios.